Russia locked horns with Ukraine and the United States at the United Nations Security Council meeting on Monday. Moscow has dismissed the peace plan supported and suggested by Ukraine and the West. Speaking at the meeting, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said, "Moscow is always ready to negotiate, but the peace plans presented by Kyiv and its Western masters are only used as a cover to continue the war." Lavrov also claimed that the Ukrainian armed forces have been a failure on the battlefield. Russia further criticized the United States for providing military aid and backing to Ukraine, while the United States ruled out Lavrov's claims as blatant disinformation and said it was Moscow's invasion on Ukraine that sparked the war in February of 2022. Residents in Kyiv took shelter in subway stations as Russian forces launched missile attack on Ukraine. People settled on mats and sleeping bags on the floors of the station, waiting for the air raid sirens to end. 7 people have been injured and several residential buildings have been set afire due to Russian attacks. According to Ukrainian officials, one non-residential building has also been damaged. Tensions between Taiwan and China refuse to die down. Taiwan has reported spotting 7 Chinese military aircraft and 3 naval vessels around the island in 24 hours. Taiwan's defense ministry announced that out of the 7 People's Liberation Army aircraft, 1 fighter jet crossed the Taiwan Strait median line. The ministry added that Taipei has responded by sending aircraft and naval ships. That island has also deployed air defense missile systems to monitor Chinese activity. Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen met a delegation of U.S. business executives in Taipei. The delegation was led by former U.S. Undersecretary of the State Keith Krach and U.S. Taiwan Business Council President Rupert Hammond Chambers. Well, they arrived on Monday, shortly after Taiwan's presidential election. Last week, Lai Ching-te won Taiwan's presidential election with more than 40% of votes in a 3-way race. The agenda of the visit is meet the industry experts and discuss trade policies, investment opportunities, and areas of technological cooperation. In the past several years, Washington has started backing Taiwan, a move that has agitated China. "20 people have been reported dead a day after the landslide was reported in China's Yunnan province that had buried 47 people in freezing weather conditions on Monday. Now, according to the state media, the disaster management authorities managed to rescue 2 people and 500 people have been evacuated safely by the relief teams. Yunnan province, that is grappling with biting cold temperatures, is one of the several provinces in China's southern region facing challenging weather conditions. The remote mountainous region remains prone to such calamities. Rescue and relief are underway in China's Xinjiang after a 7.1 magnitude earthquake hit the region. Police, firefighters and soldiers are combing through affected areas of Xinjiang's Wuxi County. The main quake was followed by a succession of aftershocks as strong as 5.2 in magnitude. No casualties have been reported so far. A total of 182 vehicles, 800 people and 32 dogs have been put on standby for the disaster relief mission. preliminary report indicates that the epicenter was in a township within the mountainous border area between China and Kyrgyzstan. California, San Diego witnessed winter storm in which vehicles were swept away by floodwaters and overflowing streams, causing road closures. As part of precautionary measures, schools were declared closed. The heavy rains from weekend storms in California flooded the streets and toppled trees, leading to disruption in commute. The authorities have warned the residents to stay indoors and also issued flood warnings for parts of San Francisco Bay Area and San Diego County coast. Ecuador's armed forces have removed hundreds of meters of internet and satellite television cables in the prison of Machala. The development comes as the country plunged into a wave of violence coordinated from the prisons by criminal organizations. Machala is one of the country's most dangerous jails, which is under the control of drug trafficking gangs. The soldiers dismantled around 1,500 meters of UTP Ethernet and coaxial cables connecting the wards to the outside world. Meanwhile, officials of Ecuador and the United States discussed plans for security cooperation between the two countries. The meeting comes amid the Ecuadorian government's declaration of an internal armed conflict. Now, at the end of the meeting, the two sides agreed to cooperate in the war against drug trafficking, expand market access, and increase investment to create jobs in Ecuador. Ecuador said the visit of high American officials was a powerful and concrete political signal of support of the US to the management of the Ecuadorian president. Amid a sharp increase in the number of measles cases, the UK health officials have urged millions of parents to book their children in for missed measles, mumps and rubella shots. Over 1,600 suspected measles cases have been reported in England and Wales. The National Health Service is launching a publicity campaign after figures showed 216 confirmed cases of measles and 103 probable cases in parts of England since October. Now, as per the World Health Organization's advisory, 95% vaccination coverage is needed to maintain a safe level of protection against infection in the population. Public health officials say that more than 3.4 million children under 16 years of age are unprotected and at risk of catching the disease. In India, thousands of devotees throng Ayodhya's Ram temple on day one after the grand consecration ceremony took place with great fervour. The devotees gathered outside the temple at 3 a.m. as per the Indian Standard Time yesterday. Now, after the consecration ceremony of the Ram temple, India observed the day as second Diwali by lighting lamps and bursting crackers. Also in India's Kuno National Park, a Namibian cheetah named Jwala has given birth to 3 cubs. This comes just weeks after another Namibian cheetah, Asha, gave birth to her cub. Now, Indian Environment Minister Bhupender Yadav posted the video on social media platform X, formerly Twitter, and congratulated India's wildlife frontline warriors and wildlife lovers. Twenty-year-old Indian-born former British chess prodigy Aditya Verma has gone on a legal trial for spreading bombing hoax in July of 2022. The then 18-year-old had spread bomb hoax before boarding a flight to Menorca. On Monday, Aditya Verma appeared for a one-day trial in Madrid National Court and was charged with public order offence. The prosecutors have demanded that Verma pay $102,946 for scrambling the jets, along with a fine of $28,597 if he is found guilty by the court of law. Meanwhile, advocate Margarita Quintana, who represented Verma in court, said her client's joke became public without any judicial authorization. She further said that the British authorities should pay the cost of the operation, as they had breached Verma's privacy. Colombian Congress paid tributes to Senator Piedad Cordoba on Monday following her death at the age of 68. Cordoba had been in bad health since 2022 and breathed her last on January 20th. She was an Afro-Colombian congresswoman and a senator who had a reputation for taking radical stances. She was trained as a lawyer and served the nation as senator from 1994 to 2010, when the then Prosecutor General Alejandro Ordonez accused her of collaboration with the insurgents. Meanwhile, former Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison said he's quitting politics to pursue a business career. The veteran political leader announced his step down as representative for a Sydney suburb next month after being in Parliament for 16 years. Now, Morrison said he would take on new challenges in the global corporate sector now. Scott Morrison led Australia during the 2020 bushfires, followed by the COVID-19 pandemic as well. Also, Australia is bracing for a cyclone and it is likely to develop in the Coral Sea and the island nation's northeastern region. Now, according to the Australian Weather Bureau, the latest cyclone comes a month after tropical cyclone Jasper caused widespread damage in Queensland northern regions, forcing residents to flee their homes and cutting off towns. Storm warnings stretched across 900 kilometers of Queensland's northeast coast with intense rainfall and destructive wind gusts of up to 150 kilometers per hour. Forecast for some tourist towns along the Great Barrier Reef say that. In the world of technology, NASA has proposed the development of a new Mars exploration platform called MAGGIE. Now, MAGGIE stands for Mars Aerial and Ground Intelligent Explorer. It's a compact solar-powered aircraft with vertical takeoff and landing capability. MAGGIE is inspired by the success of NASA's Ingenuity helicopter, which is an autonomous spacecraft operating on Mars since 2021. Now, according to NASA, MAGGIE would be the first to conduct a large-scale atmospheric mission on Mars. This concept marks a significant leap in NASA's exploration on the Red Planet. Despite the difficulties of Mars's atmosphere, MAGGIE's technology could improve vertical takeoff and landing aircraft technology not just on Mars, but also on Earth and other planets. Meanwhile, Meta has announced that it will now let users in the EU unlink their Instagram and Facebook accounts. Now, this move by Meta is in compliance with the European Union's Digital Markets Act, which will be effective in March. The new step taken by Meta provides more choices for users, particularly in the EU, European Economic Area and Switzerland, regarding the use of Meta's services. Users in the EU can now use Meta services without sharing their information between Instagram and Facebook. Even those who connected their Instagram and Facebook accounts earlier can continue doing so, allowing their information to be used across both platforms. According to Meta, users can now manage Instagram and Facebook accounts separately to avoid information sharing. The Indian government has decided to implement faster electronics testing for manufacturers. This move is to introduce a more efficient testing process for products registered under the compulsory registration order of 2021. Now, these products include wireless earphones, headphones, laptops, notebooks, tablets, and mobile phones, among others. This decision will significantly reduce the testing and registration time for electronic products from 16 to 20 weeks in just 8 to 12 weeks. This development will empower manufacturers to choose suitable testing methods, reducing certification timelines and preventing launch delays. Let's now get you some global updates from the world of business. Global oil prices eased as concerns over the demand outlook offset Middle East tensions and supply worries. Brent crude fell 0.2% and WTI dropped 0.1% after a Ukrainian drone strike raised supply concerns. Analysts predict Novatek's terminal to resume operations soon. Now, geopolitical tensions are overshadowed by worries about China's economic recovery, affecting global oil demand. Houthi attacks disrupt shipping, fueling inflation fears. A Reuters poll forecasts a 3 million barrel drop in the US crude inventories, while distillate stockpiles decrease and gasoline inventories rise. Tencent's Riot Games, known for League of Legends, plans a global workforce reduction of 11%, affecting 530 employees. CEO Dylan Jadeja cited unsustainable costs and a lack of focus due to numerous initiatives. Now, the layoffs primarily impact non-development teams. Riot aims to refocus on core titles and will seize new game development under Riot Forge. The move aligns with industry challenges as digital game publishers struggle amid economic pressures. Now, Tencent's influence prompts Riot Games to streamline operations and prioritize key franchises. The Federal Aviation Administration has recommended immediate inspections of Boeing 737-900 door plugs after unspecified issues with bolts were reported. Now, this scrutiny follows a mid-air panel blowout on an Alaska Airlines MAX 9 jet, prompting the FAA to ground 171 MAX 9 planes. Now, the 737-900, an older model, faces inspection due to its optional door plug design. Boeing supports the FAA's directive. United and Alaska Airlines, the only US MAX 9 operators, discovered loose parts, leading to numerous flight cancellations. In contrast, the 737-900, with 11 million hours of operation, faces minimal disruption.